Hello folks and welcome to another video. I've got another rattly box of plastic in my hands and that can only mean one thing. It must be time to review something. The wonderful folks at Warcradle Studios have sent me the latest two-player starter set for their game Dystopian Wars, and I wanted to get this box cracked open and have a look at it straight away. Now, the reason I'm so enthusiastic and raring to go behind this one is because it's actually a universe and a game that I was gonna pick up anyway. And it's one of those rare occurrences where a creator contacted me and said, hey, we'd like you to review our product. And I said, oh, which product? And they said, the one you were just about to put into your box and buy. So this is actually a game that I was planning to get into anyway. Very, very excited to check out this two-player starter box. Let's go to a down cam and see what's in the box. So indeed, today we're looking at Sturginium Skies, the new two-player starter set for Dystopian Wars. And this is a game that I know very, very little about. I did not do too much prior research on this because I wanted to have that joy of finding out in the moment. I knew that aesthetically and I knew that as a gameplay pattern, ships and naval activity was something I was really interested in finding a game for. So I'm really glad that Warcradle Studios decided they wanted me to take a look at this for them because it is, as I said in the intro, a game that I really wanted to pick up anyway. The first thing I notice when I look at this, the packaging is very premium. You're going to see as I slide this sleeve off, this is exactly what I'm talking about. The choice to include something like a foiled embossed logo like that, it always makes me think this is a company that's willing to spend a little bit more money to show me that they love the product they've made. That's kind of how premium packaging reads to me. And maybe that comes back to when I was running a manufacturing business and I was really keen on premium packaging for those reasons. Maybe that's like how I think it likes to communicate, but that's certainly what I get from it. So this box is gorgeous. I love it. And when I open this box, you're going to immediately realize the part about this game that's got me very excited. And here we are, you can just see it poking out down the corner here, but we have hard styrene miniatures on injection molded sprues. And we're not going to go straight into this, we're not going to get straight into the miniatures themselves, because I think that's probably the section where we'll spend a lot of time actually talking about them. So first we're going to concentrate on the other stuff that's included, and the first thing we see is the usual, some tokens of various different kinds, condition tokens they're called. So that's going to be very nice for gameplay. We're going to, I assume, need those for gameplay. There's a campaign book included, which I think is a lovely, lovely touch, giving you just a separate book that explains a bit of lore and sets up a nice little campaign that you can play on. Also got some assembly instructions here, which I think is very nice. Once we get through all of that, then we have the various stat lines for those models, and I just think that that's really, really nice. Just a bit of lore, a bit of statage, some building instructions, and then some encounters at the end. Just a few little missions at the end. Just really, really into this. Really, really like this way of doing things, and I think it's very neat to see all of this just nicely condensed into one book. A bit of quick reference at the back there. Very handy. And I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of rules that are as accessible as possible. That's something that's always really important to me. And to see that effort made, that all of the rules that you need to actually play a game are here in one book, and then in this rules book, you can then look deeper and actually learn the proper rules in their entirety. And this gives everything as a nice play-by-play. I like the fonts that have been used. I think it's very fitting for the theme. Sort of, they also, this company, Warcradle Studios, also make Wild West Exodus, and I don't think it's any coincidence that they use a font that sort of makes sense in this steampunky sort of idea, but also kind of makes sense in that Wild Westy kind of idea. And I know they are in the same universe as well, so they do kind of fit together, and the presentation fits together. There's obviously been some thought there into making sure that everything kind of looks like it belongs together. And as you can see from this book, it's really nicely laid out. The font is a good size. In fact, I think this might be the same font. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this might be the same font that Black Library use in their physical publications. It really looks like it. I'd have to check it side by side, but it really looks like it. So that's lovely, that's excellent. And I do believe this is also available separately, this rulebook. And then to get into things a little bit further, and I think this is where it's going to be pretty exciting for you folks, is those miniatures. And there is a lot of plastic in this box. In fact, what I'm going to do before we talk about these miniatures, I'm going to pull the sleeve back on again, just so you can see how many miniatures are in this box. Okay, so yeah, there's the cardboard sleeve. So what we're going to get in the box, we've got some cards and some dice, which are obviously going to be used for gameplay. We've got some measuring tools here, which again are obviously going to be used for gameplay. So let's just take a look at the size of the forces in this box. We've got 1 Stark Imperium Sky Fortress, 2 Kriegstern Assault Ship, 4 Jaeger Aerial Fast Destroyer, 4 Aerial Escort, 2 Reiter Cruiser, 4 Sigma Destroyer, 3 Prydain War Rotor, 3 Tintagel Battle Rotor, 6 Saxon Scout Rotor, 3 Newfoundland Attack Cruiser, 6 Orca Hunter Submarine. So what is that? 3, 7, 11, 13, 17, 20, 29, 32, 38 miniatures. 38 miniatures. That's a good little starter set for a 1 to 1200 scale, mass naval combat game like this. That's a good little starter set. Very, very impressive. Really happy with that. Okay, so bringing this box back in, it is full of sprues. It is full of sprues, and it's very, very obvious from the offset that they are extremely high quality plastics. I don't know where these are manufactured. I do not know definitively, but I have my suspicions that it might be Archon Studios, and I was talking to a couple of other people in my Discord about this, and they also like the idea that it might be Archon Studios. So I think these little sort of stackable points on the corner of the sprues, I feel like I remember this being a identifier of Archon Studios. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I feel like that was one of the ways that you could tell Archon's miniatures. So we shall see. I'll see if I can find an answer to that. I'll see if I can find a definitive answer to that. But in either event, it is a lot of plastic. I like that you've got wave patterns molded onto these bases. I think that's really neat. You can obviously just spray that blue, dry brush it white, and it's going to look like ripping waves. Really, really nice and easy way to base everything. It's kind of half done for you, and I respect that. These big airships, you can see just by the size of the components, these are going to be pretty serious miniatures. And in fact, let me get you a little zoom a second, just so you can see the quality of these plastics. Okay, can we just take a minute to take in just how good this plastic is? I mean, we are, with no hyperbole whatsoever, we are talking Games Workshop quality plastics here. You know, these pieces are not cheaply made. They are good plastic components, and the detail on them is really impressive. I think that this tells me, or this gives me the impression that I'm looking at a product made by a company who takes it seriously, who believes it can succeed, who is willing to invest and take the risk in the hopes that people will play their game and choose their game. And that really fills me with hope. That shows me that there are companies in the industry who want to compete, who want to share some of that market share with Games Workshop, who want to provide actual alternatives or other games that are worth playing. And when I see this kind of quality going into a product, I get that kind of impression. Okay, so I've just had a quick rifle through the box, and all in all, we've got 4, 7, 9. So we've got 12 sprues all in that contain the models themselves. That's the two armies. What were the armies called? The Crown, and I believe the forces were Canadian, and then Imperium are the two forces. And so 12 sprues make up the miniatures for them. We've then got, what's this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 bases for, these are for fighter squadrons, as I understand it. The fighter squadrons you may have seen when I was picking the sprues out. The fighters and the bombers come on little discs like this, and you then mount them on a normal base, and presumably that's because the altitude that they engage in combat at is much lower, so they are kind of flat to the ground, not on a raised base. You may have also noticed that each base has a little oval hole in it. That's just in the center, like a little oval smooth divot, and that is to provide a place for these flight stands. And these flight stands are ball-ended, and then there is a socket that comes with them as well, so you will be able to actually pose the ships once they're on the flight stand. Again, that's another little attention to detail thing. They're not just stalk stands, they're posable ball and socket stands. And again, it's just another thing that I appreciate. It tells me that they're trying. The measuring tools are kind of sprued together. This needs to break off and then it needs to fit together. This one looks like it measures 9 inches. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at the join, 6, 7, 8, 9. So yeah, this one measures 9 inches. I guess 10 inches would be here. That's absolutely fine. Some sort of Arc of Fire template. Until I read the rules and learn to play this game, I'm really not going to know what this does, but this looks like some kind of firing arc calculator, and then a small and a large template as a 2-in-1 to act as your template for, you know, those cloud type or flamer type weapons. Lot of dice. Again, very impressive, the amount of stuff included. So there's 2 packs of these dice. I assume they have the same number in, so 4, 8, 12, 16, 20. So that's 40 of these little 10mm dice. And then these slightly larger, what look to me to be about 15mm dice, 12 of those. Again, as I start playing the game and get familiar with it, I'm going to understand what these do, but this is a first impressions. So right now, I don't know what these do. I haven't got a clue what they do, but they look pretty nice. 2 decks of cards. I'm going to assume that this is either 1 per player or 1 per army, but they don't have any kind of special backs differentiating them from each other, so I assume this is just each player gets one of these. And is this like random objectives maybe, like Tempest of War? Or maybe it's like stratagems? It looks like it could be. Victory or Valor. Again, really interesting. I'll be excited to see what these do. I like games that introduce a little card mechanic or some kind of light resource management kind of thing. I like how, you know, Infinity has a resource management undertone, and I find that very engaging. So that should be really, really fun to learn more about. So all in all, there was a lot in that box. And what I'm now going to do is actually keep this down cam on, and I'm going to grab a couple of tools, and I'm going to attempt to build one of the larger ships just to see what that process is like. And again, this is knowing nothing about how it should look and what it's like to put together. I'm going to go in completely blind here to give this a fair test for what these miniatures are like to build. So yeah, let's get on with that. Okay, so that took a hot minute, but to be honest, my fault, not the models. I made a mistake, misread the instructions, and then had to do a bunch of hoo-ha with taking apart a half-glued model. It wasn't fun, and the underside of this is still a bit of a mess as a result of that. But that's okay, it's the underside at least, you know. The underside is the part where if you're going to make a mistake, that's where you want to make it, right? So it still looks beautiful, and it's a surprisingly big miniature. I did not expect this to be this big. When I saw the box, I assumed the biggest ships would be 2 or 3 inches, and this is more like about 5 inches. I mean, if I compare it to, say, a Space Marine for you, that's a good scale comparison. We all sort of know roughly how big a Space Marine is, I think. Yeah, that is, I think, pretty impressive. That's a big old ship, and you only get one this big, to be fair. This is the only one this big. The rest are smaller, but I still think that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty neat, and I can imagine when this game is all boarded up, ready to play with a fleet on the table, I can imagine it's going to look really sick. I can imagine it's going to be a very cool looking game to see tabled up, and I'm actually really excited now to get a game ready to go tabled up for that exact reason, because I think it is going to look really, really impressive. This might be one that I have to try and do either a battle report or a how to play or something like that on, because it plays on a 4x4, which is a nice convenient size, and I think it's going to look really good setup. So we shall see. So the Sturgidium Skies 2-player starter set for Dystopian Wars by Warcradle Studios. What do we think, folks? Looks like a pretty good value box to me. I believe this is going to retail at somewhere around the £90 mark. I know the current 2-player starter set retails at £94, and I'm suspecting we'll see this one in and around the same sort of price. So this box set is due to drop at the end of this month, that's October 2022, and it's not dropping on its own. It will be released alongside a couple more products for Dystopian Wars as well, some army boxes and stuff. So there's a blog on the Warcradle website detailing all of this, and I'll link that in the description below so that you can check it out for yourself, get au fait with all the details for when this one is coming out. But yeah, if you fancy some naval combat with dirigibles and fighter planes and battleships and some sort of steampunky kind of vibe mixed into all that, I mean, I suppose that is a pretty specific thing to fancy, but at least you've got it here. As usual in these reviews and first impressions, I can't speak for the system until I've played it. There's been a few games that I've played and I've maybe not enjoyed them as much as I thought I would in the review. But this one I'm really optimistic for. Warcradle have a strong pedigree of making good games, and hopefully this will be no exception to that. I'm also very interested in the other game in this property, Wild West Exodus. So I think the excitement level as well is going to help me there. But either way, once I've got a few games of this, once I've given it a little play, I will be doing a follow-up so that you can at least get my thoughts and views on how that went, and I will also be showing you some painting content with any luck. So if you're excited for this and you're excited for all of that to come in the future, then hopefully you too, like me, will want to get on with Dystopian Wars. If you fancy picking up a copy of the game, I actually will have an affiliate link as well posted in the description below, so you'll be able to follow that and I will get a small kickback off of you purchasing the game, which will help pay for my time in making this video. So thank you so much for watching, folks. I hope that you find this one as cool as I do. It is, as well as being a rattly box of sprues, it is Dystopian Wars by Warcradle Studios, and it looks pretty bloody good to me. So with all that said, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, enable notifications, all that good stuff. You'll find links to Patreon and things like that below as well if you fancy supporting me further. But I will see you in the next one, folks, so thank you so much for watching this one, and bye-bye for now.